Hey everybody, this is Rustin Rose with Metalholic Magazine and Metal Nation Radio, and joining us today, she is the mistress of mayhem, Madam Mayhem. How are you doing?
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad to have a chance to talk with you. I was just sitting here listening to the new record again and getting a feel for everything, and there's a lot of great stuff to talk about. And you're coming up less than 2 weeks away from the Doro tour. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, we're all super excited to get on the road, and we're all sharing a bus too, so it'll be great, to pick her brain and get to meet the legend that is Doro and be able to be direct support for her. Yeah, is going to be a lot of fun.
I forgot to ask you the most important question you may get asked all day. How do you not hurt yourself? Put an eye out or something wearing those spiked gloves of yours.
Well, the way that I design them is so I don't hurt myself, but if I have to hurt others, you know what I mean? Like, it's more of a self-defense thing than it is a personal, harmful thing. They're just spikes, and when they're on your hands, you can see where they're going. But yeah, I definitely don't like, if I have an itch on my face, I don't go for it when I'm wearing those gloves.
All right.
Sure.
So, now, most female vocalists I've talked to over the years tend to list male vocalists as their inspiration. Is that true with you as well, or were Doro and other women sort of inspiring to you as a singer and songwriter as well?
I think it's both. There are definitely a majority of male influences. I think it's because there are also a lot of, it's a male-dominated genre. Well, at least it was when I was growing up. So now that there's so many women, it's amazing, and I'm thrilled about it. There are a lot more, women getting up there and making their mark. So I think it's a mix.
Yeah, and it's funny. There are so many more women involved in heavy music now, and it's fantastic. But it really is still less than 5%,
Mm-hmm.
But everybody thinks they're everywhere now. No, not really.
Right, exactly.
All right, so one does not easily inherit a nom de rock, so to speak, like Madam Mayhem. I take it you were fairly loud and bold right from childhood?
Yeah, I mean, my parents gave me that name, so they named me twice, and it just made sense to keep it going because that's what I was being called even before, so... Yeah, I guess I've always wanted to do this my entire life, and I started off in musical theater and classical training. I just wanted to be, the best vocalist and musician I could be and, be on stage and performing, and I guess all the mayhem just kind of came with it, and then, of course, it only made sense to be in the genre in which I'm so obsessed with, so it kind of just all happened and the name fit.
Well, before we dig into the new album, to help us get to know you a little bit better, tell us a little bit about that path into music. Obviously, right from the beginning, you were sort of a show child in spirit, but how did you sort of get to where you're at now?
Well, whenever, you listen in the radio, to the radio, or you're listening to your favorite genre of music, mine has always been rock and metal. And as I got older, my taste got heavier and heavier and heavier, even while I was training my voice and, writing songs and doing all these things throughout my entire life. And so, making sure I performed all the time, and it only made sense and it fit. I finally, it's clicked for me. This is what I need to be doing for the rest of my life, and it just kind of happened. Not just happening in terms. I've been working every day of my life for it, but in terms of picking the genre, it was just the easiest thing in the entire world because that's what I love and that's who I am and what I want to do.
You're classically trained, but you turned out to have the heart of a headbanger.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I was always that awkward rocker chick in the classical, whenever we were having class or whatever it was, you could tell I didn't fit in, but I wanted to make sure I sang just as good as all those other opera singers,
Were there, 2 or 3 albums that sort of marked milestones when you were coming up that, you heard this album and it sort of changed where you were going, and then you heard another album and it really helped you develop as a singer and a songwriter and a showman? And
well, I don't know if it was specific albums, but there are definitely some that really influenced me and bands that influenced me. When I was a really young kid, my mom started playing grunge in the car because that was my baby music. So Nirvana was actually one of my first tastes of what rock was in terms of the grunge genre, and same with Alice in Chains. And then as I got older, when you see Alice Cooper, or you see Judas Priest, or you see, any of those guys, or Joan Jett, of course, as I got older, and it all just kind of transformed. And I also make sure I take a lot of myself in terms of my image and my music and my songwriting. I try so hard not to think of anyone else, no other, influence or other artists, because I want to make sure it's as unique as humanly possible and as true to me as possible.
Well, let's talk about the music then. It's been over 3 years since the White Noise album, and you are back with a bang. How many people can say not only did they get to work with Billy Sheehan, but he produced your record and co-wrote most of the songs with you, played bass on most of the album? How'd all that come about?
Well, Billy is a mentor of mine, and he's been for a few years. We met through actually a bunch of other artists and workshops, and there's just like this network of people, in the industry. It's not that huge, and he was a mentor of mine, and he actually was very supportive during my first album. And when I was kind of at a turning point of like, okay, what do I do? We started writing together, and he's like, listen, I love your voice. Let's make an album. And I was thrilled because, of course, it's Billy Sheehan. How could you not be?
Right.
And we really got along great in terms of the writing process, so that was very helpful. And I was able to kind of spill my guts in a way and then make the music as great as we could.
Right. I mean, he's got so much wisdom, and he's just such a genuinely nice guy. How great to have him as sort of a mentor for you, right?
Yeah, it's like the best thing that could happen. It's just with someone with that much talent, it's crazy that he's literally the nicest guy I've ever met in my entire life. It's bizarre. Like he's the greatest. So hands down, greatest guy ever.
Well, and it doesn't help that he knows a lot of other great people, too. Likewise, as we said, you got some very notable talents on the record as well. Ray Luzier from Korn, Corey Lowery, of course, Russ Parrish, or Satchel, as a lot of people know him,
right.
Bumblefoot Thal. You could almost just call it a career right there and die happy.
I mean, I'm thrilled that all those guys were willing to be part of this record. Corey and I also have a great writing relationship. We write all the time. And Billy loved 3 of the songs we did, so we made sure we put those on the album. But, getting these artists to play, I'm still in awe, and I'm still thrilled and excited. And, sometimes I'll listen back to the album, and as a lead singer, you would think I'm thinking about my own voice or my own self. And I'm like, no, did you hear that guitar solo Bumblefoot just did? Fretless, all these things. And that's all it's so cool.
And Billy's little bass parts and Satchel.
Yeah, exactly.
Satchel is such an underrated guitar player because everybody, nobody takes it seriously because it's Steel Panther, but Russ is a fantastic guitar player.
Incredible. When he came down to the studio and laid down some stuff, I was just staring at his hands and how they were playing. Like, it was incredible. So I'm very pleased, and I'm very proud of this record.
And you've already released 2 videos from the album, one for Monster, which you released a few months ago, and then the second, Left for Dead, which was released not too long ago. Give us a little backstory on those songs.
Well, Monster and Left for Dead, I actually co-wrote both of those with Corey Lowery, and it was really therapeutic for me to write both of them, actually. Those I really spilled my guts into, and they were really important for me to make sure they got on the album. And they did, and so it made sense for those to be the ones that we released as singles and had videos for that could really just, first of all, be a lot of fun to listen to and be songs that people will relate to and enjoy, and also, just kind of getting the points across.
Which track on the record do you think captures most who you are?
I think the whole album does, because each one is a little bit different, which I made sure of, but they're all me in terms of the stories and the feelings I was going through and the hardships I was dealing with and the type of, double pedal that I'm obsessed with and double bass. And, there's all these certain, things that are peeking through each song that might not be in the one before it, but they're all little things that I love as a musician and as a fan. And it's all real stories and real, aggression. So I guess it's all me.
And obviously they're all very personal, but which one was maybe the most difficult to write for you?
Most difficult. I think there are a few. There were a few that really just, were hard for me to even share. I would have some ideas and I'd write it and I just really wouldn't want to show Billy. I'd be like, no, it's kind of silly, whatever. And then he's like, no, go with it, take it. There were a couple of them. I think some of the ballads were definitely hard, and maybe even not so much hard, but I guess more of trying to tell the truth and really admit to myself some of the things that I was feeling when really I thought I was okay. So I think there's a little bit of that in a couple songs. I don't know if there's one specific one.
Was it sort of cathartic once you actually got it recorded?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'll still sit in my car and I'll be like, if I'm dealing with something, of course I'll listen to one of my favorite bands or whatever it is, but sometimes I'll listen back to a specific song that I wrote on this record and be like, yes, okay, I feel better now, because it really did play off of what was going on and what it can sometimes go on in people's lives.
Do you have a go-to band or artist that you listen to, or a specific album that's like when you just really need a pick-me-up or something to get you going, you turn to that?
I don't know. I mean, for me, as long as it's loud and fast and there's like a lot of rhythm going on, I'm very happy. So like any hard rock or metal song like that, and then I can just belt my face off, it helps.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned that, and it's like you would imagine if you did a cover song on the album, it would be like Judas Priest or Motorhead, but you guys dug deep and grabbed an old Burt Bacharach tune that was penned by Dionne Warwick, Anyone Who Had a Heart.
Yeah, we wanted to change it up. We were thinking, okay, let's throw a cover in on this record, and what could it be? And we definitely wanted to showcase my voice. Billy wanted to make sure, like, that it was something that didn't overpower, but at the same time, we kind of wanted to throw people for a loop and get caught off guard. So it took a little bit of thought, but, you know, it's an amazing song and sung by an amazing artist, and I related to it. You know, I felt something with it, so it made sense to do it, and it confused the heck out of a lot of people, and that makes me happy.
Well, as you said, it gave because you showcase your voice quite a bit on the record, but this really takes you into a new element where we get a lot more nuance of what you're capable of doing. All right, so before we get out of here, just for fun, help people get to know you a little bit better, maybe another side of you. Tell us something about you that might surprise people.
What might surprise people? Well, besides the fact that I'm classically trained, I also used to be a professional dancer and ballerina. And hip-hop dancer, actually, really well. So that's kind of out of nowhere.
Wow. A headbanger, yeah. Nonetheless. So, okay, so talking about the tour, then last question before we get out of here. Obviously, Billy and Ray and those guys aren't going to be able to go out on tour with you and all that stuff. They've got so many other things going on.
They're a little busy.
Who is the rest of the Madam Mayhem lineup when you're actually out on tour?
Well, I have a band that's going out on the road with me. They're amazing guys, and they can play just as well as all the guys on the record, which, of course, was the first priority because I want to make sure that, you know, we sound just like the record and, you know, even have our own twist to it. So there's some great guys here on the East Coast that, you know, I rehearse with, I work with. Some of them people might know from other bands, like Virus, who is from Dope and Device. He's going to be joining, which I'm very thrilled about. And some people you may not know, but they are incredible, and you will know them very soon.
Fantastic. Well, for those who are fortunate enough to get to see all the East Coast shows with Doro, you know, we look forward to some point you getting out to the other side of the country, the Midwest, the West Coast. But congratulations on the new album. It is fantastic. And
thank you.
We look forward to seeing and hearing more of you.
Yes, I hope to come out there very soon.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful day, and thanks for taking some time.
You too. Thanks.